do that. Scott Drew, national championship head basketball coach at Baylor, joins us on 365 Sports. This is when you don't play as much, but boy, you got some alphas. I know Michigan State's record not quite the same, but Michigan State, Tom Izzo, Duke, and Duke. How much fun will this be for you?
Well, one thing is we're going to know what areas we need to work on, what areas we need to improve before conference, because with Michigan State, if we got weaknesses, they're going to be exposed. If we have weaknesses with Duke, they're going to be exposed. Michigan State, starting with them, they returned 5 of their top 6 scores from a team that went to the Sweet 16. They brought in the top 5 recruiting class. So there's no doubt in our staff's mind that by the end of this thing, they're going to be a great possibility for us as far as to strengthen their schedule. And also, you're not going to get a quality win, meaning you're not going to get a bad loss, but you have a chance at a quality win from the standpoint playing the team that Coach Izzo always finds a way to make sure they're in contention for a national championship at the end of the day.
This has been, already a fun schedule for you guys. It's about to get more fun. Well, I guess that's a subjective term, depending on how it all goes. I know, Scott, but when you get to play at Tom Izzo, when you get to go at Duke and have these big stages, Detroit and New York City, given the fact that, years ago, like maybe you call up and get a game like this, maybe you don't now, when people see Baylor, Michigan State, and that's a game, what does it feel like to be must-see TV for college basketball fans?
Well, it's a great compliment for all Baylor family and everyone that's helped create this, from President Livingstone to Mac to all the fans to the great players we've had. And again, you're playing in 2 NBA venues where the Pistons play. You're playing in Madison Square Garden where the Knicks play. I mean, players grow up of those opportunities, and you're playing programs that are the most successful we've had in college basketball in the last 20, 30 years.
Coach, through 9 games, what have you learned about your team compared to what you were, I guess, wondering about your team going into this season?
Well, I think if you start with the strengths, number 1 offense in the country, so obviously everybody's blended well together. Everyone's sharing the basketball, playing to their roles. The assistant coaches did a great job bringing in people that would fit our culture and play for Baylor University in a way that would make the Baylor family proud. Defensively, we've continued to get better. Our transition defense is improved in recent weeks. Our defensive rebounding has improved, and our overall defensive numbers are getting better. So the guys try, they're coachable. So there's no doubt we're going to continue to make strides there. Offensive rebounding, I know we were 6th in the nation the last I checked. So that's good. 3-point shooting, number 1 in the nation. We're taking the right shots at the right times. And the best shooters in the country are only going to make 4 out of 10. So you got to do a good job getting offensive rebounds when you miss. So a lot of positive things. Obviously, as you play better teams, more talented teams later in the year, you become more scouted. So they find what areas they think they can exploit or cause us trouble. And this is great because we love to play these type of games prior to the Big 12 so that we know what areas we need to work on heading into Big 12 play.
Scott, is there any way you could have imagined that this team with so many moving parts, incoming players who played at the high school or high international level, the transfer portal, that they could have meshed as quickly as they have?
Well, you always hope for best case. You plan for things working out, but at the same time, you never can guarantee you're going to be 9-0 and ranked top 6 in the country. So obviously things have fallen our way, and the guys have done a great job being coachable and every night showing up and playing, and the fans have done a great job supporting us wherever we played. Sioux Falls, Auburn's a top 25 team. New York winning the NIT. It's hard to win those postseason and preseason tournaments. And I think we won 5 out of our last 6. But I mean, Florida's another team. When it's all said and done, should be a top 25 team. So you played games like what we have coming up. The one thing I think will be different is in Detroit, it's going to be obviously a much more Spartan crowd than we faced at the other two venues. So winning on the road is not easy, as you guys know when you've traveled on the road. So we have to be that much better to win on the road.
Scott, you guys had an international trip this past summer, and those are things that you can really build off of, and you guys have in the past several times. Have you already seen the dividends playing off even this early, just 9 games into the season?
Most definitely. Years that you go on foreign tours, I mean, big jump starts to the year. And I mean, you look at, I know football week 1 to week 2, you look at NBA, they play all those exhibition games to get ready, even football, although they don't play all their players because they don't want them to get injured before season. Those games tell you what you got to work on. So when season starts, you're ready. And with us, the bonding that you're able to get overseas, that's something that's really hard to duplicate, simulate in the U.S. because when you're on college campus, you got so many distractions from friends, family, girlfriends, whatnot. And when you're abroad, you really lock in with your teammates and you get to know them a lot better. And then those 10 practices before the year really puts you at a head start going into the year. So we were able to experiment with quite a few things and find out what we liked, didn't like. And then that way, when we started our first day of practice, it was kind of like we were at midterms.
What is the one best piece of advice that Tom Izzo may have ever given you?
Yeah. He's I don't know if there's one, but I know I've really enjoyed a friendship with him, and I remember the year that we won it all. It was after one of our games. He texted and we talked, and he said, "Your team can win this thing," and I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that often. And don't screw it up.
So that's like a lot of confidence, and then all of a sudden he made you really nervous in the same thing. Right?
Yeah. When a team, a program, Baylor or whoever, beats somebody that has been one of the better programs, whether it's been for a decade or for 20 or for 50 years, it means a lot to the program. It means a lot to the fan base. Does it mean as much to the head coach when you win a game like that?
Definitely, because you know what it does for your program and you know what it does for the Baylor family. So, I mean, again, we try to give you guys as much to cheer for and as many bragging rights. And when you beat a national program, it means a lot and it says a lot. So, again, I know some people will say, well, Michigan State's down right now. We know where they'll be at the end of the year, and they're going to turn this thing around real quick. And we're just hoping one more game before they hit their stride, because this is going to be a real tough outcome tournament time for sure.
Yeah,
Scott Drew with us on 365 Sports. Paul?
You can tell him you can figure it out as soon as you're done playing us, right? Right, Coach?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? They've had a lot of close games. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were up 3 late against Arizona. They were down 3 late against Duke. I mean, as you guys know, a play here, a play there. Well, one thing that's really hard in coaching is you might diagram the best play, wide open shot, you miss it. You might have a bad play, it's a bad shot, and it banks in. One, you win and you're a good team. The other, you lose and you're a bad team. So, I mean, it's the fine line of winning and losing is as you guys know. So it's finite.
How much have you learned about Daquan Grimes, a young man from Kilgore, and how patient he's been? Obviously, a lot of good people around him, in front of him on the depth chart. But what have you learned about him as he's been trying to figure it out and perhaps give you some contributions?
Well, I think first and foremost, each and every day in practice, he and everybody else contributes. And our biggest strength is, our team will tell you, is our depth. And it can be your biggest weakness if people start worrying about themselves and not the team. So we all know roles change, injuries, illnesses, a team not playing well, foul trouble. And you got to be ready when your name's called. And every time we've called Antoine, he's answered the bell and done a great job. And at the same time, in college, you get a lot better in practice than you do in games because we practice a lot more than we play. So taking advantage of that is so critical. So that's why when we bring in players, it's really important we bring in guys that fit our culture, that are going to go hard in practice, spend extra time in the gym, because that's how you get better. And D'Antoine's one of those guys who's done a great job with that.
Is it even more difficult to keep up with all the players? You have a lot of assistants. College basketball, you almost have basically one for every player. How does that work logistically?
Well, I think the reason staffs have gotten so much bigger is because the job's gotten so much bigger. And I mean, you look at it, recruiting is 24/7. We're recruiting every day for next year's class. We're recruiting for the guys who signed. We're recruiting for the guys to come. I mean, so it's every day. The difference is you used to recruit 2 or 3 guys. Now most teams you're recruiting 6, 8, 9 guys. Then you got to remember you're recruiting your own guys every day. Then you look at it from a responsibility standpoint, just the different obligations. Think how the media has grown. I mean, you guys can compare who got media passes and credentials 20 years ago compared to now, meaning like the media rooms are so much bigger with social media, brands and things going viral are so much bigger. There's so many more things to stay on top of. I mean, it used to be a player gets to college, parents turn them over to you. Now, I mean, you got parents, you got strength coaches, you got workout guys, you got AAU coaches. I mean, like, so there's just, the job has gotten so much bigger.
Scott Drew with us on 365 Sports. Scott, thank you very much. Enjoy your holidays if you can with those kind of teams coming up with Michigan State, Duke, Delaware State on the horizon. We will know, right, because of who you've played, because your non-conference schedule's always been good. But after these next games, I guess, you will know who you are when the battering ram of the Big 12 begins.
Amen to that. And then the great thing is we will see you on the 22nd to close the Farrell
Center.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Can't wait to see everybody back for that.
How often do you get to go to the pavilion at all right now? Do you have time to just go look at it?
Actually, I've gone twice personally, once several months ago, and then we went this morning for 40 minutes to look around. And I can tell you, fans are going to love it. I mean, first of all, a new car, new house, new computer, iPhone, whatever, you get excited. But you walk in the pavilion, it's going to be, the crowd's going to be so loud. It's such a good venue as far as seating goes. And, like, there's not a bad seat. You feel like you're right on top of the action. And then, obviously, everything's done first class. So it's a first-class experience, very similar. You go into a 5-star hotel, you know you're in a 5-star hotel.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your time. The Pavilion, the Foster Pavilion, opening up the first of the year.